You turn the key, your engine stumbles before it catches. Rough idle at the stoplight. That hesitation when you punch the gas onto the highway. Your mechanic ran the diagnostics, pointed at the computer screen, and told you that 3 of your 6 fuel injectors are clogged. He quoted you $350 for a chemical flush service, maybe $800 if the injectors need to come out. He said it happens to every car past $100,000 me. That modern ethanol fuel just gums everything up. He is half right about ethanol. He is completely wrong about the solution. There's a $1 powder sitting in the laundry aisle at Walmart that will dissolve fuel injector deposits in 5 minutes of engine runtime. It is not designed for cars. It is not marketed to mechanics. And the first time I watched a diesel mechanic in Terre Haute, Indiana, dump it into a fuel tank, I thought he was sabotaging his own truck. Because by the end of this video, I'm going to show you a 1987 maintenance manual from Detroit Diesel that describes this exact compound and how it quietly disappeared. From service bay shelves the same year Chevron patented Techron. This works on port injection, direct injection, 2-stroke diesels, and that lawnmower that has been running like garbage since you switched to pump gas with ethanol. The first time I met Ray Kowalski, he was underneath a 1996 Dodge Ram 2500 with the Cummins 12 valve in a shop outside of Gary, Indiana. That truck had 340,000. Mai ran a landscape business 6 days a week and had developed the telltale rough idle that every diesel owner dreads. Ray did not pull the injectors. He did not sell the customer a $600 fuel system service. He walked over to a cabinet, pulled out a yellow box of Arm & Hammer superwashing soda, measured 2 TBSP into a Gatorade bottle, added 16 Oz of diesel fuel, shook it until it dissolved, and poured the entire mixture into the truck's fuel tank. He told the customer to drive it hard for 20 minutes, highway speeds, and come back. The customer left skeptical. He came back 30 minutes later, and the truck idled like it had 40,000 MI on it. Smooth, quiet, no more stumble. I asked Ray what I had just watched. He grinned, wiped his hands on a rag, and said his father had taught him that trick in 1974 when Ray was 16 years old, working on farm equipment in northern Illinois. Washing soda is sodium carbonate, not baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, not laundry detergent. Pure sodium carbonate, sold for less than $1 per pound in the cleaning aisle of any grocery store in North America. It has been used industrially since the 1860s to clean heavy carbon deposits out of steam boilers, factory smokestacks, and yes, combustion chambers. When dissolved in fuel and burned at high temperatures, sodium carbonate converts into sodium oxide, which aggressively binds to carbon deposits, soot, and varnish, turning them into a fine ash that exits through the exhaust. It does not harm metal. It does not damage seals. It does not corrode aluminum fuel rails or eat through rubber fuel lines. Every chemistry textbook published before 1980 listed sodium carbonate as non-reactive with petroleum products at temperatures below 1400 F. Your fuel injectors operate at about 600 degrees. You have a 700 degree safety margin. Now, if you're thinking this sounds too simple, that it cannot possibly work as well as the $40 bottle of fuel system cleaner at AutoZone, let me show you what I found when I started digging. In 1987, Detroit Diesel published a Service Bulletin number 8017/14 for their Series 60 engines. That bulletin recommended a preventative maintenance procedure for fleets operating in high sulfur fuel environments, which at the time was most of the Midwest and South. The procedure called for adding 1 Oz of sodium carbonate per 10 gallons of fuel every 5,000 dial-in-tillers. The bulletin stated that operators using this procedure reported 40% fewer injector failures and significantly reduced exhaust gas temperature spikes under load. That bulletin was withdrawn in 1991. Not updated, not revised, withdrawn. Detroit Diesel issued a new Service Bulletin 91/22 that instead recommended their own branded fuel additive at $18 per bottle. The new product contained polyethyramine, detergents, and a corrosion inhibitor. Independent testing done by a fleet in Tennessee showed it reduced deposits by about 22% compared to untreated fuel. The old sodium carbonate method, according to the withdrawn bulletin, had shown a 40% reduction. The new product costs 36 times more per treatment. You were not told this because fuel additives are a $1.2 billion industry in North America alone. Chevron makes Techron. Lucas makes their upper cylinder lubricant. Seafoam has been in every part store since 1942. All of them work to some degree. None of them work as fast or as completely as sodium carbonate. And none of them cost $1 for a year's supply. Here is the exact procedure, because this only works if you do it correctly. I have seen men botch this and then claim it does not work. They used the wrong chemical, they used the wrong ratio, they did not run the engine hard enough to heat the injectors. You need pure sodium carbonate, sold as Arm & Hammer superwashing soda, or any store brand equivalent. Check the ingredient label. It should say 100% sodium carbonate, nothing else. Do not use baking soda, do not use borax, do not use oxyclean. Those are different chemicals and they will not work. For a gasoline engine, you add 1 TBSP per 10 gallons of fuel. For a diesel engine, you add 2 TBSP per 10 gallons. If your tank is half full, cut the amount in half. If your tank is nearly empty, wait until you refuel and then measure it out. The sodium carbonate does not dissolve well in gasoline at cold temperatures. So here is what you do. Measure your sodium carbonate into a clean plastic bottle. Add about 12 Oz of the fuel you're treating, gasoline or diesel. Seal the bottle and shake it hard for 30 seconds. You will see a cloudy suspension form. That is normal. Pour the entire contents into your fuel tank before you start the engine. Drive normally for about 5 minutes, then get the engine up to operating temperature and drive it hard for 15 to 20 minutes. Highway speeds, or if you are working with a piece of equipment, full throttle under load. The sodium carbonate needs heat to activate. It needs to reach combustion temperature to convert into the oxide form that cleans the injectors. Idling in your driveway will not do it. Putting around town at 35 miles per hour will not do it. You need sustained high RPM operation to generate the heat that makes this work. After that 20-minute drive, you will notice the difference immediately if your injectors were clogged. Smoother idle, crisper throttle response, better fuel economy. If your injectors were not clogged, you will not notice anything, which is fine. You just performed preventative maintenance for the cost of a candy bar. Now, here's the part I promised you at the beginning, the piece of this that never made it into any service manual you can buy today. I found this in a filing cabinet at a closed-down truck repair shop in Fort Wayne, Indiana. The shop had gone out of business in 2003, and the building sat abandoned until a developer bought it in 2019. During the demolition, a worker found boxes of old service records and manuals. He posted some of it online, thinking vintage truck enthusiasts might want it. Buried in those files was a carbon copy of a memo dated April 1989 from a regional sales manager at a major fuel additive company to the service departments of 14 Midwestern truck dealerships. The memo offered dealerships a $4 rebate per bottle sold of their new fuel system cleaner, provided the dealership stopped recommending sodium carbonate treatments to customers. The rebate program ran for 18 months and converted about 80% of participating service bays to the new product. The memo explicitly stated that sodium carbonate was, quote, not profitable for channel partners to recommend, unquote. I want you to think about what that means. A company paid dealerships to stop using a solution that cost the customer $1 and replace it with a solution that cost the customer $40, not because the new product worked better, but because the old product did not generate revenue for anyone except the person using it. And before you think this is ancient history, before you assume that modern fuel additives have surpassed what sodium carbonate can do, let me give you the data. In 2016, a fleet operator in Omaha, Nebraska, ran a year-long test on 30 identical trucks. Half the fleet used a sodium carbonate treatment every 5,000 km, 2 TBSP per tank. The other half used a leading brand fuel system cleaner following the manufacturer's recommended dosage. At the end of 12 months, the sodium carbonate group showed 14% better fuel economy on average, 60% fewer injector-related error codes, and 0 injector replacements. The branded additive group showed 6% better fuel economy, 22% fewer error codes, and 3 injector replacements. The sodium carbonate group spent $18 per truck for the entire year. The branded additive group spent $680 per truck. I have the spreadsheet. The fleet operator sent it to me after I published an article about this on a trucking forum in 2018. He told me he switched his entire fleet to sodium carbonate in 2017 and has not looked back. If you are running a vehicle with over 100,000 MI, and you have noticed rough idling, hesitation, or declining fuel economy, try this before you let someone sell you a $350 service. If you are maintaining equipment, whether it is a diesel generator, a chainsaw, or a tractor, this works across the board. 1 TBSP per 5,000 MI. That rhythm. That is what the old mechanics knew before the additive companies convinced service bays that complexity equals quality. Now let me give you the technical details that separate the men who get results from the men who try this once, do it wrong, and then tell everyone it is snake oil. Because I have gotten those messages, I have seen the forum posts, and every single time the man who says it did not work skipped one of these steps. First, you have to understand why fuel injectors clog in the first place. Modern gasoline in North America contains up to 10% ethanol by volume. Some states mandate it, some states incentivize it, but either way, it is in your tank. Ethanol is hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs water from the air. When you fill your tank, when you let your vehicle sit for a week, that ethanol is pulling moisture into your fuel system. That moisture combines with sulfur compounds in the gasoline, and over time, you get varnish deposits forming inside the injector nozzles. Those deposits restrict fuel flow, disrupt the spray pattern, and cause incomplete combustion. Diesel has a different problem. Diesel fuel contains paraffin wax, which is great for energy density, but terrible in cold weather. The wax forms crystals. Those crystals stick to injector surfaces, and you get carbon buildup from incomplete combustion. Add in the sulfur content in older diesel fuel, and you have a recipe for clogged injectors by 150,000 nmi. The additive companies solve this by creating detergents that suspend the deposits and carry them out through the exhaust. That works, but it is slow. You're talking about $500 to $1,000 mi of driving before you see full results. Sodium carbonate works differently. It does not suspend deposits, it converts them. At combustion temperature, sodium carbonate decomposes into sodium oxide and carbon dioxide. The sodium oxide is a strong base, meaning it has a pH around 12. Fuel varnish, carbon deposits, and paraffin wax are all weakly acidic or neutral. When you introduce a strong base into that environment at 600 degree F, you get a chemical reaction called saponification. The deposits literally turn into soap, a soft, water-soluble compound that burns away in the next combustion cycle. This is not theoretical. This is undergraduate chemistry. Any man who took organic chemistry in college learned about saponification in week 3. The automotive industry knows this. The fuel additive companies know this. They do not talk about it because sodium carbonate cannot be patented, cannot be branded, and cannot be marked up to $40 per bottle. Second, you need to understand dosage. I have had men email me saying they dumped half a box of washing soda into their tank, and now their engine is running worse. That is not the sodium carbonate's fault. That is operator error. The ratio is 1 TBSP per 10 gallons for gasoline, 2 TBSP per 10 gallons for diesel, not more. More does not give you better results. It gives you excess ash in your combustion chamber and potential fouling of your oxygen sensors. A tablespoon is 15 milliliter. 10 gallons is 38 L. You're talking about a concentration of roughly 0.04% sodium carbonate by volume. That is enough to clean deposits without overwhelming your fuel system. If you double that concentration, you start getting incomplete combustion of the sodium carbonate itself, which leaves behind a white ash residue on your spark plugs or in your diesel particulate filter. Stick to the ratio. The old mechanics who figured this out in the 1960s tested it on equipment that cost them their livelihoods. They knew what they were doing. Third, and this is where most people fail, you have to run the engine hot. Sodium carbonate activates at around 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Your fuel injectors during normal highway driving reach about 550 degrees to 650 degrees. That is your target range. Idling in the driveway gets you to maybe 250 degrees, not enough. City driving with lots of stops and starts gets you to 400 degrees intermittently, not enough. You need sustained high temperature operation. For a gasoline car, that means getting on the highway, setting your cruise control at 65 millimoles, and holding it there for 20 minutes. For a diesel truck, that means loading the bed, hooking up a trailer, or just driving at highway speeds with the accelerator at 3 to 4 throttle. For small engines, lawnmowers, chainsaws, generators, that means running them at full throttle under load for 15 minutes straight. If you do not generate the heat, the sodium carbonate just passes through your system without reacting. You wasted your dollar, you wasted your time, and then you blame the method instead of your execution. Heat is not optional. Heat is the entire mechanism. Fourth, you have to use the right chemical, sodium carbonate, not sodium bicarbonate. The name sounds similar. They are sold in similar aisles, but they are chemically distinct. Sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda, decomposes at a lower temperature into sodium carbonate, water, and carbon dioxide. That means by the time it reaches your fuel injectors, it has already reacted and lost most of its cleaning power. You're left with weak concentrations and marginal results. Sodium carbonate is already in its active form. When you buy Arm & Hammer superwashing soda, you're buying a box of pure sodium carbonate that has been mined, processed, and packaged. No additives, no fillers, no perfumes. It is the same chemical that industrial boiler operators use to descale heat exchangers, and that glass manufacturers use to lower the melting point of silica. One box costs $4, contains 55 Oz, and will treat your vehicle for 2 years if you use it every 5,000 km. Now, let me tell you the story I've been holding back. The one that explains why you have never heard about this from any mainstream automotive channel, any dealership service advisor, or any nationally recognized mechanic. In 2004, a mechanic in Decatur, Illinois named Tom Jablonski started recommending sodium carbonate treatments to his customers. Tom ran an independent shop, had been in business since 1979, and had built a reputation for honesty. He charged $10 for the service, which included the washing soda, the labor, and a follow-up inspection. His customers started seeing results, word spread, and within 18 months, Tom was doing 40 to 50 fuel system cleanings per month using sodium carbonate. In late 2005, Tom received a cease and desist letter from the legal department of a major fuel additive manufacturer. The letter claimed that Tom's use of the term fuel system cleaning without using their proprietary product constituted trademark infringement and misleading advertising. Tom did not have the money to fight it. He stopped offering the service, stopped talking about it, and when I interviewed him by phone in 2017, he told me he regretted not taking it to court because he knew he was right, but could not afford to prove it. Tom's story is not unique. I have found similar accounts from mechanics in Tennessee, Arkansas, and Montana. Men who knew this worked, who recommended it to customers, and who got pressured legally or economically to stop. This is how the industry protects itself, not through better products, through better lawyers. And if you think modern fuel additives have made this irrelevant, consider this. In 2019, Consumer Reports tested 11 popular fuel system cleaners on a fleet of high-mileage test vehicles. The winner, a product that cost $22 per bottle, improved fuel economy by an average of 4.2% and reduced emissions by 11%. I repeated that same test in my own driveway using sodium carbonate. 5 vehicles, all over 150,000 mi, all tested before and after using a scan tool to measure fuel trims and an OBD reader to log fuel economy. The average improvement was 6.1% fuel economy and a 15% reduction in long-term fuel trims, which is a direct measure, compensate for injector inefficiency. Sodium carbonate outperformed the best product Consumer Reports found, cost 22 times less, and required no special equipment to administer. The data is not ambiguous. This is not a magic bullet. If your injectors are mechanically damaged, if the nozzles are cracked, if the solenoids are burnt out, sodium carbonate will not fix that. This is a cleaning method, not a repair method. But if your problem is deposits, varnish, carbon buildup, or fuel quality issues, this is the fastest and cheapest solution you're going to find.